Good morning, everybody. Okay, today we are here for this ISO 2018 FSMS, Food Safety Management System training. Okay, first of all, let me introduce myself. Okay, my name is Tang Kian Yang. You can just call me Tang. Okay, this is my contact. Should you have any need, would like to contact me or have any questions afterwards, after the section, or whenever, alright? So, a little bit about myself, my academic background, I got a food science and nutrition degree, a degree in food science and nutrition 20 years ago, back in Peking University, Melbourne. Okay, I'm also an alumnus for Dairy Australian Southeast Asia Scholarship Program, and of course a certified trainer under PSMB. Okay, before I actually become a trainer, I actually has been working in the industry, just like all of us here, for about 19 years, mostly in QA and QC field. Okay, so throughout my industrial experience, I actually have been working with the standards like the GMP, CASA, ISO 20000, FSC 20000, the SGS, and even PCQI. Anyone of you knows what is a PCQI? It's actually for food industry. If you export your product, food product to US, FDA under their FSMA, the Food Safety Modernization Act, your company need to have a PCQI, Preventive Control Qualified Individual, to sign on all your quality and food safety document. If fail to do that, the FDA actually can all the way from US come to Malaysia and give you a fine. Saman you dia kat US, dia boleh datang Malaysia untuk saman. Okay? So anyway, this is just a little bit about myself. Okay? Now, let's talk a little bit about today's learning objective and our outcome. Of course, this training, the purpose, this 2-day course shall introduce actually should be a refresher training to all. Okay, introduce the ISO 20000 certification requirements. Okay, because it's based on the ISO 2018 version, and a little bit on this ISO TS 22004 2013 standards, which is for the PRP. Okay, participants, ladies and gentlemen, here we will learn to understand the essentials of the ISO 22000 requirements through the presentation, some industrial experience sharing, and some group or individual activities. Okay, the participants will be able to plan, develop, and implement an effective ISO 22000 based FSMS after this section. Okay, which is the outcome. Okay, you will learn the concept of ISO 22000 standards, identify the key elements of the standards, and of course apply these elements to your FSMS. Okay, I don't think anyone should have questions about it, right? Okay, let's go through a little about our program. Okay, so we should be start with some introduction and ice breaking. Of course, I don't suppose there is ice between ladies and gentlemen here. The ice is between you and me, Okay, then we will talk a little bit on our overview of FSMS. We talk about food hazards. Then we will start going to the actual ISO 22000 elements. May I know when is your lunch break? Normally when do you 12 to 1. Okay, then we can actually move the time to 12 to 1, no problem. Okay, and then we'll continue the elements this afternoon. Then we'll finish today's session by a group activity. How to do the group activity, later we'll go into that. That's for today. Then for tomorrow, of course, again, we still continue with the ISO 20000 elements, and tomorrow we will have more activities. Because today's section actually has more classroom lectures than tomorrow. Okay? So that's roughly about the program. So now, okay, we have 7 people here, and actually we're expecting one person to join us.
Yeah, later.
Later, so we should supposed to get 8 of us, right? So I would like to actually make you into two groups. So I think it's easier. One side one group, the other side another group. Or you want to shift? No? Alright. So what do we do here is, we got two groups here, right? Okay, let's give you a paper each. What I would like you to do is, you discuss among your group, and I think it's 4 of you, or maybe 3 of you at this moment. Think of a group name for your group. And then draw a little bit logo. What do I say? Let's say you make your group name as Mosangping. Then you draw a durian as the logo. And then put down your team member's name. And then please introduce your group to me. And let's do this. Is it 10 minutes enough for this? 10 minutes? Okay, then we start. So 4 of you, one group. 3 of you, there's no more one group. So please sound out a group name, a logo, draw it, just simple one is okay. And then introduce your group to me. And you can think of anything, some food you all like, or maybe some movies you like, or superheroes you like, or maybe just a simple thing that.
This is food related.
No, seriously, it's okay. Anything.
I mean, 2000 is so
Yes.
food related. So.
You have one. Just icon. Yeah, just a simple one. Dia boleh buat nasi lemak, the egg or ikan bilis. Okay, no problem.
You kuih lah.
You lukis kue lapis boleh, kue donat boleh.
Saya tak pandai lukis. Itu dia orang lukis cantik lah. Tapi simple lah. Nice oh, cantik lah dia orang design ni designer. Mereka memang
Video lah.
macam bulat punya. Cantik lah. Dia design yang nice lah. Very cute. Very simple. Oh, okay. Tengok, dia orang yang lukis. Oh, tengok, very cantik tak? Dia punya, ni designer dia. Designer dia. Handmade cakes. Since 2009. Since 2009 Kita selalu fikir lagi lama lagi bagus lah. Udah, kalau 183 wah.
Sometimes I need to skip because
Very,
when
very
you run for
story.
outside is on the way back.
Okay, okay, no problem.
Tengok ini.
Maybe tomorrow I can need to attend. Sorry.
It's okay, sir.
Tengok, dia ini macam komik memang. Macam komik. Lukis.
So means actually we got only 4 and 2. Then in this case, can we actually shift one of you here? So we can make it 3-3?
I think it's okay
It's
because
okay?
outside is on the way near.
Alright, okay.
nearby.
Okay, that's fine.
Ni.
Okay.
Cantik ah.
Oh, already.
Ini clear ah. Ini clear. Ini apa? Savage ah. Savage ah. Ni apa? G
Q.
Q U E
H.
H Q
Like.
Oh Q U like. Oh, what's the ini short form ah? Q U C H ah.
对了，
Q U C H clear.
E.
Q U E H oh. Q U E
Itu bukan
Actually bukan benar Mela. Bukan official Mela. Ini
Makanya?
ya. Kan but actual ialah K kan.
Betul.
Cuma ini
Dispel.
Ejalan internet lah.
ini okey lah. Ini okey lah.
Okay,
Okay.
are we ready?
Okay lah.
So let's get one of you to introduce your group and to me. And what?
So our group name is Cake.
Okay, okay.
CAKE.
C-A-K-E. Cik Azam K-A-D.
Oh, good.
So,
Ya, just kebetulan lah, kebetulan.
Okay.
The sequence also itu lah. Ini memang sequence.
Okay, so who?
Okay.
I don't know your group, so please introduce your group member to me.
our group member is Jin.
Yes.
I'm Azam. I'm Sticky and Mr. Eddie.
Okay. So please pass me.
The logo.
Yes, let's see the logo.
Want to draw the logo.
Oh, it's okay. Looks good. Yeah, really creative in this. All right.
This draw cannot see because of back side. The recording is this side.
No, it's okay. Okay. The camera is.
Yeah.
Okay, so the other group. Don't be shy.
Group name, Kueh.
Yes.
Members, ni Mr. Atika, Mr. Tan, and Mr.
And then later one Hap Sang will join us, and she will join the group. Okay.
This is my logo.
Okay. Oh, look very nice. Wait. So we all love food. Who doesn't love food in Malaysia, right?
Yes.
Yes, we are food country. Okay, so now the purpose I make you into groups is actually okay. Later during the course, okay, there will be some activities and maybe I'll ask some question, and whoever answer the question, you will score a mark for your group. So tomorrow at the end of the section, we'll summarize which group actually scored higher. Okay, so just to make the things a little bit interesting, instead of
We
people who
were awarded with cake or kueh at the end.
that will remain to be a mystery. Alright, so, okay, so let's actually now we have two groups, kueh and cake, or food, no problem. So let's move on to the actual presentation. So first I'll show you a video. It's actually about what is ISO. It's just a YouTube video. I don't think I'm not sure whether you could.
those food standards benefit producers and manufacturers, regulators and retailers, and most important of all, you and me, the consumers. When it comes to safe food, confidence has a nickname that's recognized worldwide. Now you know it too. It's ISO.
Just a very short video. Okay, so now, first question I will have to ask you. What actually makes the food unsafe? What move makes your food unsafe? Anyone? Anyone answer the question? Please raise your hand so I know.
Contamination.
Contamination, great.
But contamination can be many things.
Yes.
Chemical, dust, a lot
Yes.
of
Anything. What else?
oral particle,
Beside all this contamination,
diesel.
this chemical hazard, whatever hazard we have. What else? Anyone can give me an example? What else will make the food unsafe?
The cooker, the chef, the attitude, practice.
Actually, I should give you another one. People will actually make the food unsafe. Why? Now explain.
That's why I say cooker.
Right. These are all the factors that contribute to unsafe food. Okay, we normally will break into two parts. One, just now we mentioned, contamination. It's normally what we call an unintentional or accidental adulteration. This kind of adulteration or contamination or whatever is unintentional. So this part is about our food safety and food quality. This part, unintentional or accidental adulteration, is not intended to actually produce unsafe food. Well, the other part is what we call intentional adulteration, which another point is just now is talk about human people. Intentional adulteration is people who actually put something or replace something or do something to the food itself to make it unsafe. Another two categories. Okay, first is actually when it's driven by economic motivation. They want to gain something or do some cheating. So this is what we call food fraud. Okay? And then the other one is actually driven by harm, ideology. Okay? Means someone actually has an ill intention to contaminate or to make the food unsafe to gain something from their ideology or anything. This part, under this, we call it a food defense. Okay? So, this is a typical food supply chain. Okay? Means actually, or we also call it a food chain. Under this food chain, actually, there's a lot of things. It actually started from even agriculture, water, maybe like packaging material, everything. Okay, so within this chain, all those unsafe food or adulteration could happen in between any. You can see all the arrows are pointing each other. At any point here, there is possibility to cause this unsafe food to happen. Okay? No need to remember all this. Just remember, we are not only talking about food safety and food manufacturer only. Okay? From the farm until the consumer, we all have a responsibility on protecting the food. Okay? So, because of this, so there's actually what they developed this internationally, a food safety management system approach. Okay, so under this later modern food safety management system, actually it consists of three big parts. Okay, when we talk about food safety, just now the unintentional adaptation is what we call the food safety part. Okay, which is under this HACCP. So who can tell me what is HACCP? Anyone? What is a HACCP?
Hazard analysis critical control point.
Hazard analysis control point. Good. There's another explanation on HACCP. This one don't get about. Which is, have a cup of coffee, please. Okay, no money. Anyway, okay. The other two parts, that's how we talk about food defense. Okay, which is under another part where we call it TACCP. Okay? While the food fraud is another thing, it's VACCP. So T and V all represent the threats and the vulnerabilities. So TACCP means threat analysis critical control point, where VACCP is vulnerabilities analysis critical control point. But today, on ISO 22000, which is a food safety concern system management system, we will focus on this part, the food safety part, HACCP part. Okay, we are not going to talk much about these two because this is under another module or topic. So what we are doing today here, we will be focused on this HACCP or food safety part. Okay. So, hazards, food hazards, food safety. Of course, we all know, huh? There are three hazards, 1, 2, 3 hazards that is present in the whole world. Okay, so no need to explain. Biological, chemical, and physical hazards. This is actually the common knowledge. It's for any food contamination. It will be from these three categories. You cannot come up with a fourth one. There is no fourth category. But again, later we'll talk about there's actually a fourth and fifth subcategory. Right? So let's move. Biological hazards. Who can give me an example? What is biological hazard? What actually causes a biological hazard to a food?
The bacteria.
Bacteria, right? What else? Rodent. Okay. Rodent. This one later we'll talk more about this. Let's put it first. Anything else? Okay. Besides bacteria, we actually have what? What? Bacteria? We always heard about this E. coli. You heard of this salmonella, you heard of this listeria, all the nice name. Looks good, sounds good, then you can name your child with it. But please don't have. There's something very, very nice sound, Shigella, Yersinia. Well, all sounds very good. You can name your child with it. Don't have. Okay, besides bacteria, which is actually common, we also have a virus. Virus. Of course, there are some certain food-borne virus that actually can transmit through food. Okay? For example, the norovirus, rotavirus, HIV is the hepatitis A virus. Virus. And there's a recent, these 2 years, there's concern. The COVID, the coronavirus, they say they found on the food, especially frozen food. And they do it sampling. Okay? But that one is actually needs more scientific data to prove it. Okay. So the next one is another type which is fungi or fungus. Okay, if you learn biology before, you know fungus and bacterial virus actually is different in the nuclear. Okay, so fungus, we have yeast and molds, or this Aspergillus penicillium, these are molds. Okay, yeast and molds. And then from this, normally there's a very famous one, which is, you might have heard of it, which is the mycotoxin. MYCOTOXIN, mycotoxin, which is the toxin that produced by a mold, Aspergillus mold. Yes. That is actually a very, very dangerous toxin that can found in the
Only can happen on this something like wooden wood,
Not necessarily.
the metal part won't have.
Okay, for them to survive, of course they need water, food, all these things. They are a living organism. But chances are they could contaminate with their spores. So this surface, even though there is no food source for this fungus,
That's not
they
good.
can actually start growing.
Like the cendawan.
Yes, cendana is also one of the fungus.
Oh.
Mushrooms. So these are microorganisms also. So this class under biological hazards. And then one more is the parasites. Okay, parasites, because of their size, they are very small, especially their eggs. So it's also, you could find a lot in, especially those meat
This one
fish.
can move on.
Yes.
Very tiny.
But this protozoa, tapeworms, roundworms, and normally instead we eat the eggs. And this type of parasite is actually very, very strong. Sometimes if you eat it, not even your stomach acid can actually digest them. They start growing within your body. Okay, so which is the parasites. Okay, just now someone mentioned rodent, which is under this, normally we call it a pest. S-P-S-T, pest. Right. Okay, pest, this thing is actually very interesting. So if let's say now, you find a live insect or live one, or live lizard, in the food, it's actually considered a biological hazard. But if you found a dead one, a dead cockroach, dead ant, dead maggot, dead flies in the food, it's actually categorized under physical hazard, foreign matter. So when it's masih hidup, biological hazard. Dia lepas mati, dia jadi physical. It's a bit interesting in this,
Cockroach.
Yes. Okay. So this is a contour, an example of biological food poisoning case. Okay, back in year 2000. Okay, this snow brand from Japan. That time, Snow brand is the market leader, one of the market leader of milk product in Japan. Okay? So, in 2000, in the year 2000, more than 14,000 people get hospitalized or get sick from the product, the milk product sold by this Snow brand. And then they found out at the end it's actually a contamination with this Staphylococcus aureus bacteria. Okay, this Staphylococcus aureus, this bacteria is actually a very common bacteria. You can find it on our skin, our nasal cavity. It's actually a very common bacteria. But it actually not only will spoil the food if it is present in your food product, it actually produces toxic also. Produce a toxin. So this Staphylococcus aureus contamination, and this is the worst case of food poisoning in Japan history. 14,000 people get sick. Okay, and police actually do a investigation, probe into the company, led to their senior managers in charge with negligence. Okay, 2 were convicted. Were suspended sentence, and then that time the company was also criticized for failing to recall the product promptly, which made these people get sick. And nowadays, after 2 years, I think after 2 years of that case, 2 or 3 years, this company is no brand. Actually, they got merged with another company and then changed the name. Now, and today, they're still in Japan. They are called Megu Milk. MEG, okay, Meg milk. In English we call it Meg milk, but you know English, so they call it Megu milk. Megu milk. Okay, so this is an example of biological hazards.
Sorry.
Yes. welcome to join our group of Hui. Okay, we actually break the people in two groups. They call K, this group called Hui.
You need to change the name after Sarjan. You need to change to Big Mac. Sorry.
Okay,
Sure.
let's continue. Okay, the purpose of the group is when they answer some questions, you don't get a marks. And then tomorrow,
Ada.
you get a mystery. Okay. So, just now we talked about biology hazard. Now we talk about second one, chemical hazards. Okay? So, chemical hazards. Anyone can give me a number of one chemical hazards? They can find chemical.
WD-40.
Okay? Yeah. A lubricant or
Because we are
degreaser.
somewhere is doing
Any? One more example? Any? Sorry? Tooling. Chemical? Poisonous?
yang akan contaminate itu.
Contaminate apa?
Makanan.
Preservative.
Oh, makanan.
Yang contaminate makanan.
Sorry, just now?
Preservative.
Preservative. Yes. So, basically means actually anything that's chemical, which is not supposed to be in your product, is a chemical hazard. But again, even though some chemicals are supposed to be in your product, could be a hazard also. Which is why we actually categorize under three types of chemical hazards also. Okay, first we have the natural occurrence. Means this kind of chemical actually presents in your material, food material. Okay, for example, heavy metals, mycotoxins, allergens, which when you get this raw material, this thing already present there, not someone else go and dump it inside. It's original. The plants or the animals, they actually absorb from the nature.
Raw material.
Yes. For example, heavy metals, like sharks, or those deep water fish, deep sea water fish. Normally, they say they got a high level of mercury in their meat. If you eat them, chances you might get mercury poison, something like that. Mycotoxins, just what I say, and allergens. These are all natural. Okay, allergen later we have some more interesting topic about it. Then, another type is what we call unintentional. What is unintentional? This is those chemicals that we don't want them to present. We use them, but we don't want this residue to be end up in our food. Example like the pesticides, the detergents, the lubricants, just mentioned, the WD-40, the degreaser.
When you wash the plates, all this, the residue.
Yes, the residue. If overdose, they become a chemical hazard, which is why it's unintentional. Maybe we don't want them, but maybe some negligence or some mistake happens, we didn't clean them or remove them properly.
In the food factory, they have chemical washing, flushing.
Yes. CIP.
So the residue also.
Yes. It could be. Okay? And then, intentional. There's one category. It's called what we call intentional. Just now mentioned the preservative, the additive, processing, and all of these are chemicals. And we actually use them in our food product formula, in the recipe. It's part of the recipe. But when we didn't control it properly, we overdose it. These are still chemicals, and when you overdose, they might become poisonous.
Coloring, the color,
Coloring, your preservative normally there are limit which is regulated under the food regulation. But if you overdose it, it becomes poisonous.
Some they call it what? Stabilizer.
Stabilizer, normally stabilizer is
Actually, it's a preserver.
no. Stabilizer is not. Preservative is preservative. Stabilizer is
Oh,
stabilizer. It's actually under different categories. But all of these chemicals actually allowed to be used in the food. And normally they have some regulation on it to control your dose. If not, all these chemicals, any chemicals can be poisonous when the concentration is high enough. Even water can be poisonous. You heard of water poison? If, say, within a short time, you drink 7 to 14 liters of water, you will get water poison. Within a short time, but I think 7 to 14 liters, who can drink that much water? Right? But yes, anything could be poisonous. So this is what it talks about, intentional. We do put these chemicals in the food, but it's not our intention to make it a hazard. You would have to control the dosage. So this is the chemical hazard. Okay, again the case. Then in 1981, long time ago, 40 years ago, a batch of industrial grade rapeseed oil was illegally contaminated with this chemical aniline. Aniline is actually a poisonous industrial grade chemicals. And then this oil was then sold as olive oil to the street traders across Spain. Okay, this scandal caused an outbreak. Actually, they call it the Síndrome de la Tóxico, which is actually means toxic oil syndrome in English. I just want to show my Spanish, which is the only word I can. Okay, so it actually affected about 20,000 people, with 300 died within a few months. So this is actually a poison, aniline, and then they use this oil into as an olive oil. Of course, this case is actually not unintentional adulteration. This case is actually more categorized to the intentional adulteration, just now we mentioned. It's under the food fraud category actually, but it's still a food poisoning.
What is aniline?
Aniline. Aniline is a chemical. It's a poisonous chemical. It's actually used for industrial, it's not for food. It's never meant to be for food use. Because it's not even an additive that they overdose. Really, it's a non-food.
They don't have QA, right?
Hmm?
I mean, they don't have QA.
No, this one is a food fraud case. Actually, not unintentional. This one is intentional.
Oh, it's tipu lah. Oh, cheating.
This case.
Oh, sengaja. Make money.
Yes. Okay. Now the third one is the physical hazard. Okay, physical hazard. Again, who can give me an example? This one should be easy.
Teruk ni. Stapler.
Stapler. Paku.
Macam-macam.
Rambut. Macam-macam.
Saya pernah makan spider tau. In the mee
Spider.
Mee soup
Mati ke hidup?
Mati mineral.
Mati. Physical. Tadi cakap kan, kalau hidup, Allah cakap. Okay. So again, for this physical hazard, we also have some category. First is what we call natural. Okay? Because physical hazard actually means macam-macam benda lah. So, when we buy the food raw material, there are some physical contaminants that come together as a natural occurrence, like the seeds of your fruits, okay? The bones of the meat, sands of soil come from the vegetable. So this is what we call natural. The other part is what we call unnatural. This is normally happen like all your glass, metal, plastic, your baku, whatever, terus masuk or terus campur dalam food product. So these are the two categories used for physical hazards. Again, the contoh, this one not so serious case. This just happened 2 years ago. 3 years ago, okay. In 2019, okay, a Canada company, Monster Energy, this energy drink, Monster Energy, they were recalled from the market because there is a potential of contamination with glass pieces. Okay? So the Canadian the corporation Monster Energy Canadian Limited initial recall, and according to authority, they did not disclose any information about why it triggers this recall. and how they discover this hormone. Okay, this is actually when you do a recall, okay, you need to inform the public, of course. But sometimes it depends on your PR. You might not disclose how you conduct the investigation and why you happen. Of course, in this case, if you are a consumer, probably you would be happy, right? in this Canadian, American, even European country, actually, it's actually quite common for them to have a product recall, food product recall. You can actually read a lot on the internet or from the news. Not so much in Malaysia, but I think recently we had some recalls. Anyway, so this one, nobody was hurt or died in this incident. So, okay, just now two main categories. But now, the increasing trend, the increasing concern is food allergens. Okay? Food allergens, just now remember, is actually categorized under the chemical. The allergen, okay. Do you know how food allergen works actually? Okay. This is a little bit science. You know, actually when we talk about food allergen or allergy, it's actually we allergic to certain proteins in that food. So sometimes it's not even a food. You could allergic to something.
Kacang,
Yes.
soya,
Kacang soya. Okay, I'll give you an example. I was going to ask you another example, so you gave me already. Okay, never mind. So, okay, but actually, macam-macam orang, macam-macam allergen you can get. But under the FDA, normally they categorize what we call big eight groups of food. They categorize under the food allergen. First is milk and milk products. Okay. Then we have eggs and egg products. And actually, a lot of people have allergy to egg. And a lot of people didn't realize that. Actually, recently, even in Malaysia, I heard a lot that some people have kids, children, very young children. It's very easy to get sick. 2 days fever, 2 days cough or something. And they never understood why. Only when they bring to the doctor and check for their allergen, these kids actually allergic to egg. It doesn't cause any fatal, it's not a fatal one, but it actually cause your immune system to go haywire. And because egg is so common food, right? We eat almost every day. You might eat 2 or 3 eggs. So people didn't realize that actually you could be allergic to eggs. So again, now if you have kids, they always get sick. If you don't know why, maybe it's a good idea to go and test whether they are actually allergic to eggs or not. Then fish and shellfish. Fish and shellfish is different. Fish is fish, ikan. Shellfish is actually those mollusks.
Oh, this one double L.
Crustacean, the prawns, the ketam, clams, kerang, all these categorized under shellfish. Sotong also shellfish.
Yang ada rumah.
Not necessary. Sotong,
Sotong. Oh, I see.
octopus is also shellfish.
Seafood lah.
Seafood, but seafood, the fish is itself is one category.
Seafood. Oh.
And then shellfish is another.
Seafood is fish also.
Yeah.
Fish and jellyfish is another.
So in Chinese, we all call seafood tree nuts. Tree nuts is those cashew nuts, nuts, those are nuts.
Nuts and nuts.
Whatever nuts we have,
Peanut and nuts.
not peanut, peanut. Peanut is actually another category. Peanuts is peanut. So tree nuts including your almond, those things. And funny things for US, coconut is actually categorized under tree nuts. So if your product contains coconut santan, you have to declare as an allergen if you ship to the US. Because coconut fits the definition of tree nuts. not simply because the name nut, because it's characteristic fits the definition of tree nuts. But I actually never heard that someone is allergic to santan or coconut.
Kantang?
Santan,
Santan.
coconut milk.
Kantang. Milk on.
Okay, then cereal and gluten. Actually, the culprit is the gluten here, gluten. Okay, gluten is one kind of protein that contain normally in the cereals like wheat, rye, those oats. But rice doesn't contain gluten. This is why this gluten allergy is seldom heard in especially Eastern Asia. This is what they will call the gluten will cause I think they call it celiac disease. If you are allergic to gluten, once you eat gluten, it actually swellens your intestine. It makes it swollen and it cannot absorb anything. So gluten. Cereals are normally if you contain cereals, you have to declare because they contain gluten.
We eat this every day.
Yes.
In the morning.
Yes, the cereal.
Kalau tak boleh makan peanut, telur pun tak boleh.
You become vegetarian and eat vegetables only. And not even vegetables are safe. Soybean.
Tak boleh.
Soy is another. So this 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. This 8 under the FDA, we call it the big 8. And this something else. If you go for EU, European standards, they actually have more. They have 13. No. They include mustard. They include celery, lupin, all this. And actually, again, this allergen can be macam-macam thing. I knew a friend, I knew him, a friend of mine. He actually allergic to papaya. Papaya, petik. Why? Because how he knows? Because every time he eats papaya, he will become nauseous, he will muntah. The first time he thought it's because food poisoning. Second time, third time, then he realized he actually allergic to papaya. But those kind of allergic actually are not very common. So normally for food safety, they categorize only those very common ones. Okay? So some people actually allergic to meat. They eat meat, they rush. Someone actually allergic to alcohol. They cannot drink anything containing alcohol. Even use those sanitizer or whatever they contain alcohol. So this is a rising concern, which is why nowadays the food safety system we actually pull this up from the chemical hazard itself and make it a big house, make it a bigger room. Okay.
I only allergic to the kacang.
So this is a case. A poor lady, a Canadian lady named Miriam Duker-Lemay. Okay, in 2012. Okay, this poor lady, she got a new boyfriend. And then one time, they share a kiss. You know lah, orang putih kan, they share a kiss. And then suddenly, this poor lady developed the allergic reaction, suffocated her. She died. She's dead because of it. And because that why this poor lady, she actually is allergic to peanuts. And her boyfriend, because he's a new boyfriend, he doesn't know that. And before that kiss, he actually ate a peanut butter sandwich. So the balance in the mouth actually trigger this reaction. So very little amount only trigger this reaction, and she died. And then at that moment she was not carrying an EpiPen. This EpiPen is actually normally in these countries, Western countries. If you are seriously allergic to something, they will carry this thing together with them. So if they accidentally ate any of these allergens, they immediately inject this one, it will save the life. But that time, she didn't carry this with her. And she didn't wear a bracelet telling that she's allergic to peanut. You know, in US or Canada, actually very common that if you have a special medical problem, you actually wear braces and stay. And the braces sometimes can be designed very nicely with one. It first started, I think, it's for the HIV. Then they start put all the other health problem that they can put on. So that people are aware, oh, this guy actually has this kind of medical problem. And they will put maybe their blood type also. But again, this time she was not wearing this bracelet. So the new boyfriend also been aware that she is actually allergic to peanuts. So it's a tragedy. No one's fault, but it happens. So this is why the allergen thing is a big concern.
Please, your girlfriend, please take care of your girlfriend.
If your girlfriend are really allergic to anything,
You brush the teeth first, everything.
like in personal hygiene, when you try to get intimate. Okay, then the fifth one. Again, this radiological hazards is actually used to be categorized under chemical hazard also. Yeah, radiological. Radiation. Radiation. Okay? So now because of the advance of technology, more irradiation, more nuclear power plants, more things come up, this becomes another concern. Okay, history-wise, we don't talk about the atom bomb in Nagasaki and Hiroshima. They one actually, I think the radiation don't already no more. But in human history, there's twice, it happened twice, a nuclear power plant disaster. It happened twice in the human disaster. Okay, the latest one, I think all of us will be aware of it, is the 2011 case, Fukushima earthquake, Tokyo. And the other case was happened in 1986, Chernobyl.
Russia.
Chernobyl is actually in Ukraine. Not in Russia. That time when it happened, it's actually under the USSR, Soviet.
USSR.
Young people don't know what is USSR nowadays. If you birth after 90s, you don't know what is USSR. But for us, that we born before that, we know what is USSR.
Very big.
Okay. There were two disasters, nuclear disasters. One is Chernobyl, happened in 1986, and Fukushima, 2011. And actually, countless of small, not safe accidents are leaking from US power plant, which they never knew. Okay, normally these kind of things they will. This is about the chemicals. All these iodine 131, cesium 137, strontium 90. These are radioactive isotopes of certain elements. Iodine actually, probably the other two is not so common. Iodine is very common, right? We eat table salt. It's actually iodine, contain iodine inside. But this one, the 131, actually is a radioactive isotope of the iodine, normal iodine. And this one is a radioactive one. Okay, so yes, in many European countries, the level of this iodine 131, cesium 137, strontium 90, and other radionuclides in milk, dairy products, vegetables, grains, meat, fish increased drastically immediately after the Chernobyl disaster. It actually, in 1986, this nuclear power plant, they got a fire. Overnight, they got a fire, caused the reactor core meltdown, and it exploded. Okay, the nuclear dust actually goes as far as from Ukraine to not only Belarus, to all the way until Copenhagen, Denmark. So Scandinavia, Norway, Denmark, they also get contaminated. So means Eastern Europe, maybe a little bit Northern Europe, they all got affected. Okay, until today. Now you see this region in Belarus, they have still got some elevated this radioactive nucleotides in this. And even during the recent Russian and Ukraine war, the Russian troops, they actually sent troops into this Chernobyl area, and they had to pull out very fast because they just stationed there for about 1 to 2 weeks. They already detected increased level of the radiation in their soldiers. So this nowadays until today, Chernobyl is still a no-man zone. You get us?
35 years.
So Fukushima still long way to go, huh?
They are releasing the water no,
Yes, they discharge water. They say it's safe.
to the ocean. Mati the
So this is about the food hazards. Of course, just now all this we can use ISO to control. This one, I don't think any system can control. This is just to share information. So ISO 22000 cannot control this. But what we can do is control the raw material that we get. Okay, ISO 22000. Okay, just definition. You can Google it, so I won't talk about it. Okay, this is just talk about. Okay, you might heard some other food safety management systems such as FSC 22000, BRCGS. Okay, FSC means Food Safety Standard Certification. Food Safety System Certification. Okay, BRCGS is another standard. It started as British Retailer Consortium, but then they changed the name after it because this thing actually started from those British retailers like Tesco, Marks and Spencer, all those things, all of them. After that, they changed this name. Now, BRCGS actually means Brand Reputation Compliance Global Standard. Okay, this is just two things. So I just made a table to compare between what are the differences between this FSC 20000, ISO 20000, and BRCGS. Okay. Nothing much here except the biggest thing is the recognition by GFSI. GFSI is a group name called Global Food Safety Initiative. It's actually an NGO that governs the recognition of all these standards. Okay, if your standards, your cert is actually recognized by GFSI, means you can go to any part of the world and they will accept your cert without an audit. So nowadays, only BRCGS, the common one, MSC 22000, these two are recognized by GFSI. ISO 22000 is not actually. But still, it's still an international acknowledged standard. So your ISO 22000 is valid one only. It's just that it's not fully recognized by this GFSI only. Okay? Yes? Sorry? Oh, tentative rate. Okay, no problem. And let's say, maybe we just break up because later we are moving. Maybe we just take a break now. Okay?
Okay. Any quick?
Quick?
Okay.
Okay, let's continue. Okay, so before the break, we talked about the food hazard and everything. Okay, now we move into the actual ISO 22000 elements. Okay, this is just the main organization planning and control. This chart actually just taken from the ISO standard itself. Okay, find this if you have the standards. It's in there. So for this section, I'll start from clause 4, and then clause 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. We'll finish at clause 10. So this section is a bit long, and we'll finish tomorrow. Especially the clause 8. Clause 8 is the biggest one. Okay? So for clause 8, clause 4, sorry. Okay, it's about the context of the organization. Okay, so since your company have not only ISO 22000 certification, you also have the ISO 9000. I'm pretty sure you know this context of the organization because ISO 22000 and 9000 is almost identical. They are standards. Besides some keywords like QMS and FSMS, the major difference is the Clause 8 operation hub, where ISO 9000 is focused on product quality. 22000 we focus, the operation hub is focused on food safety. It's very specific for food safety. The rest of the course actually basically is exactly the same as 9000. Just that they replace the word QMS with FSMS and some specific thing only for food safety. So, for this context, we have the understanding of organization in its context, understanding the needs and expectation of interest parties, determining the scope, and of course, we need a food safety management system. Okay, so 4.1, this is what we need to understand the context of the organization. Okay, this thing was actually done using a SWOT analysis. Do you know what is SWOT analysis? SWOT. It's actually a short form for
Strength, weakness,
weakness,
opportunity.
threat, and opportunity. Yes. Oh, that one. Okay. This is what we talk about the SWOT analysis. Okay. Normally, the SWOT, the strength and weakness, is mostly about the internal factors of the organization. Internal factors are things that normally an organization you can control. It's within your control. So, it's within your control, within your grasp. The organization will know what is you have identified for your strength and weakness. Okay, so actually this part, this clause 4 part, is not straight directly involve anything about food safety. It's actually talking about your business management system. So exactly the same thing of your ISO 9000. We also talk about this strength, weakness, and then for external factors, we have the opportunities and threats for this thing. So internal issues like the products or service we offer, okay, your organization structure, what are your regulatory requirements, your objective, your policies, what is your company's resources, any standards you adapt, all this is about your internal factors. Okay, then, and this one is actually different from company, and it's very unique to a company. So this is more to the management for their management system, how they set the company's direction, the policy, the vision, mission, all these things. So not so close related to food safety, just that in FSMS ISO 20000, the company, the management have to think extra for food safety related factors. Just not unlike the ISO 9000, which is common in general one. This one you might have to include something more specific to food safety management or food safety, maybe like food regulation, something like that. So how about the external factors? Okay, external factors actually is more standard. It's actually under this thing they call it PESTEL. 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 It's actually a short form of 6 factors. Now, who can give me what are PESTELs? It's external factors. About the big environment. P. Political. E. There are 2 E's here. So 2 E. Economic. One more E. Okay, not so much about environment, because the whole thing is environment. The other E is, let you think more about the S, T, and L.
Social.
S is social. T, E, L. Okay, it's okay. T, technical. The other E, ethical. And then last L, legal. That's the pastel is about the legal. Okay, so this is the example. Yeah. External issue. The pastel quality, economy, social. Okay, technological, ethical, and legal. Okay, so this is when you do your SWOT analysis, you have to identify what is your company's strength, what are your weaknesses, what opportunities you got from the big environment, and what traits you have there. And this thing is not static one, it's actually dynamic. It keeps changing because the environment, business environment, everything is never changing. Okay? Good example. Face mask, glove. Before COVID, they are just there. But because of this COVID, suddenly mask become a must. Mask become a must. Right? Then, top glove, they are shared that time, 2 years ago, going to over the peak, sky high. But suddenly, now we know who still holding on top glove, the stock, please be careful. So this is about the cost for your context, the company's context, organization. Okay, then of course, we also need to understand the needs and expectation of interested parties. Okay, the word interest party here actually just means your stakeholder. Just that, because we are talking about food safety here, right? ISO 22000 here. So they specify it to your FSMS, your food safety. But your stakeholder normally is understand. Your shareholders, your suppliers, your competitors, your consumers, any trade association, employees, customers, distributors, or regulators. These are the common stakeholders. But in here, we only need to consider food safety related. So this is just one example. I put an example, let's say the interest party, the customers, what is their need? Okay, normally their need and expectation will be the quality of your product and service, the compliance of our product to their COP, okay, your compliance to food safety requirements and legal requirements. Because under this FSMS, ISO standard, ISO 22000, FSMS, the most basic thing is everything you do must be legal. You don't tell me how good you control your HACCP, how good you control your food safety hazard, anything. But if you are not doing things legally, there's no point going further. Which actually is, I faced this before. You all know, ISO, this thing is a system management certification, right? So you cannot put the ISO logo on your product label and then say this product is ISO certified, right? Okay, the same as the HACCP. HACCP is also a food safety certificate. So in my first company, the seafood company, the first ever audit, I joined the company, okay, then we got audit, HACCP audit. But because that time, my boss, he doesn't really understand this concept. So he actually put the hazard logo. It's not the MOH one, not the Kesehatan. If you get your hazard HACCP from Kesehatan, you're actually allowed to put the logo on your product. Yeah, but that time we were going for third party. So we are not actually allowed to put the logo. So we put the logo on our packaging. So the first thing when we do the audit, the auditor sit down and look at our packaging. Haven't started anything yet. The auditor said, sorry, I cannot continue. Because you violate the use of logo. Means it's actually not a legal requirement, but it's actually the regulation, the rule of using the hazard logo. We actually violate put it on the product packaging. So immediately the auditor said, I cannot continue because this one against the rule. So basically automatic means your audit failed. So imagine this one, my first audit. So things could happen like that. But of course, at the end, that case, my boss agreed that we stop using that batch of packaging material. We do not use that. We order a new one, and then we change it. Then the auditor said, okay, no problem. In that case, she actually agrees to continue. She accepted that, means we stop immediately using that batch of the packaging material. That was how we settled up. Okay, so of course, the customer also will expect we have proper training to your staff, and you will obtain your food safety management certificate, and then any complaints you get quickly resolved. Okay, this is you have to understand this up. Okay, next is we have to determine the scope of your FSMS. Okay, anything, certificate, any system you go, of course you need a scope. You need to identify from where to where the operations will be managed or certified. Okay, this is where. So we need to define a scope. Okay, just like the ISO, any ISO, we will have a scope for food safety. And so remember, the scope will be only covered for your food safety related. And you don't really want to include your finance, all those things into this FSMS. It's not necessary. If you want, it's okay, but it's not necessary. We only focus on food safety related. Okay? So, any question about this scope? Yeah, no? Because the scope is the basic thing, the management. This one is actually, this one part, this cost 4 actually should be determined and done by the top management. They have to put up all this policy, all these things. Okay? And the last, of course, the management have to ensure you establish, implement a food safety management system. So this cost 4 actually doesn't really require any documented information. So what it means by documented information? Means within your FSMS manual or your system or whatever, this cost 4 doesn't require any recourse, doesn't require any SOP. Even a manual is not necessary. But normally we will advise it's good to have a manual so everything you know is there in control. Easier to control. So this is what cost 4 about. No documented information required. Like your SWOT analysis, if you like, you could include in your manual. But since that thing is actually ever changing, so if you put it there every year or maybe every 2 years to revise that thing up, because the environment has been changed. It's not necessary to include, but if you want to include, it's okay, no problem. Okay? So, next is clause 5. So, clause 5 talks about leadership. Okay? The first 5.1, leadership and commitment. This one defines what is the commitment from the top management. Then, the management also have to establish your food safety policy, just like your quality policy. You need a food safety policy. Okay? So this food safety policy is entirely pure on your food safety. And you don't need to talk about your payment, you don't need to talk about your marketing, your sales. It's only about your food safety. But of course, if your sales, marketing, all this, they actually somehow involve and have something to do with your food safety, yes, by all means, include them. Okay? And then also, we need to communicate the policy. You need to establish your organization role, responsibility, and authorities. Okay? This is just, you have to establish a policy. So actually, do we know what is your food safety policy? Because you have ISO 10000. You have, right?
Yes.
Anyone know what is actually the policy? Oh, okay. This one, be careful, huh? Because there is a requirement that the policy should be effectively communicated. So the management actually has the responsibility to make sure all the staffs aware of the policy. The only people that will just like you may put it there, or maybe in your notice board or anything. But it's up to, there's no rules to follow. It's up to the management of the company and organization to decide how to communicate.
Do we need to display?
Not necessarily. That's all. It's all about justification. How you. So be careful just now. If today I'm doing an ISO audit to you, ask about do you aware of policy? At least you have to answer yes first. Don't straight away. Look at staring at the auditor and then because in that case immediately you got an NC. So be careful, Alright, don't worry. I'm not doing any audit, so don't worry. But if your company's food safety policy is not communicated effectively, please ensure your food safety team, okay, to do something about this,
Food safety.
Just like ISO 9000, you have a management representative like the MARS. But for ISO 22000, you need a food safety team. Later we'll talk about this. Okay, this is what a good food safety policy, how to draft a policy. Because this is more towards the management. Okay, and then the organizational rule. Yeah, this is what. Under this clause 5.3, actually it talks about the food safety team. And once you form a food safety team, you need to appoint a food safety team leader. And this just like this guy is just like the MR for the ISO 9000. He or she will be in charge of your food safety related operation and execution. Because the planning, the policy making, everything is by the top management. But the execution and operation part will be performed by this food safety team leader. So this is his or her responsibility to ensure FSMS is well implemented, managing the work, ensure training. Food safety team leader have to ensure the training, appropriate training has been given to all the members and
Right now,
key staff.
right
Yes.
now.
Right now. This is one of them. Okay? And then he.
Sorry.
Yes.
I don't want to know.
Oh, order.
Terpaksa.
Sorry.
Let's get okay. I like this iklan. Oh, important. 5 seconds. Okay. So, okay. And then, so this food safety team leader is important. And may I know who is our food safety team leader here? No. No, it's okay, it's okay. If the leader is already trained, is competent, it doesn't have to actually attend the training as long as you prove your competency. Attend the training is just one of the way to prove, to show your competency only. Okay? But again, this course is unique. It's not mentioned. There's nothing similar in ISO 9000. It's all persons have the responsibility to report problems with regards to food safety to the leader of the food safety team. Because in ISO 9000, you don't have to report quality problem to things right as long as you complete your job. But this one, you have to report. It's specific for food safety. Okay, so the first documented information, first record we need here for this course 5, beside the, just now the policy, of course policy has to be documented, of course. The first thing is we need an organization chart for the food safety team. Means you have to draw a specific food safety team organization chart. This organization chart is not about your company organization chart. Of course, you can actually adapt from it. Means from your company organization chart, you identify who are the food safety team and who is the food safety team leader. And under that, this information are required. The roles of your food safety team member, okay, the job description, the JD, not the day-to-day routine JD. This JD is about their JD in the food safety team. So this one, HR have to be aware of this. You need a JD specific for food safety team members. And then their relevant industrial experience. Relevant one. Let's say if you are doing this packaging material industry. So your staff, the industrial experience have to be close or relative to packaging material or maybe food safety, a food factory or something. If you put it, she has been a barista before, looks like not irrelevant. Okay, and then the competence level of training means what kind of food safety related, FS food safety related training. It's not about training, just the food safety related, like ISO 22000 training, or internal auditor training, such thing have to be listed there and within this organization chart. Okay. Okay, now move to course 6. Okay, course 6 is about the planning. And this is a short course. It's all about how the management and the food safety team how they plan to address the problems. And this 6.2 is another important thing, which is the food safety objective. And 6.3 is about the planning of changes. Okay, so this is how the organization shall plan things. It talks about how to do planning on this action. So it goes there, use that just one, or the example in the course 4 there, understanding the needs and requirements, expectations from the stakeholders. Then from there, you identify the needs and expectations. Now, you have to do their risk and opportunity analysis. Again, something like a SWOT analysis. Okay, so maybe the risk, for example here, the risk is a lack of customer satisfaction. So we need to plan the action to fully compliance to their requirements. And our opportunities, okay, we might have to do a training plan as a food safety objective. And then we plan, instead of from the ISO 22000, we might plan to upgrade to FASC 22000. So, something like this. Okay? But again, this is not a documented information required. So this is all can be used for your business management meeting, review or anything, but it doesn't have to be a documented information in your ISO 22000 system, FSMS manual or anything. It's good to have, but it's not a must. Okay? Now then, these are the important things. 6.2. Food safety objective. Okay? We need to establish a food safety objective in your ISO 22000 system. Okay? And this objective have to be consistent with your food safety policy. And then it has to be measurable, taking account, monitor, verify this. All of this setting how to set objective. It comes to another method. What we call is a SMART. S-M-A-R-T. A short form again, SMART. SMART actually is 5 things. So what are these SMART? Anyone can tell me?
Specific.
Specific,
Measurable.
measurable, A, attainable, or achievable. Okay? R,
Realistic.
realistic, or maybe relevant. And then T, is time-based or time-bound. Okay, this is how we set an objective. All the objective must be SMART. Has to be specific. Okay? It has to be measurable. Means it can be qualified. Quantified, not qualified. It has to be quantified. Attainable or achievable. Don't say some objective which is you cannot achieve one, not achievable one. No point. Okay? Has to be relevant or a realistic target. We talk about food safety objective here, right? We don't talk about your objective being attain the profit. Then it's something different already and irrelevant. And of course, it has to be time-based. Yeah. So, can you give me quickly an example of how to set up food safety objective? Can be anything. All of this. Okay, for example, let's use training. Your objective can be all of food safety team members have to attend a food safety related training of at least 8 hours in 1 year. This is, you have specification, you have specific, it's measurable, achievable at 8 hours, relevant food safety related training. And in 1 year, so time days. So it's something like that, as simple as that. No need to dig so hard to form an objective. Let it be precise and clear and simple. This is how we set the food safety objective. Okay, and this you have to just have to plan the changes. Now, come to cost 7. Okay, so cost 7 talks about the support from your management. Okay, it talks about 7.1 the resources management have to commit to support. Okay, general things you have to support. People, you have to give you people to work with. Okay, infrastructure, you have to give you facilities, a factory, a warehouse for you to work. Work environment. Okay, this one, the management is responsible to provide a comfortable, or not to say stress-free, good, reasonable, good work environment. Not only physically, but even mentally. And then, externally developed elements of food safety management system. This one is actually very simple. Like all the standards reference guide we use. Means, for example, HACCP actually is from this Codex Alimentarius. So you can say we refer to this Codex Alimentarius, or we use Malaysian standard, the MS 1480. This is what they call external developed elements of food safety management system, because you don't develop all these standards yourself. Unless your company is good at this and you actually develop your own reference standard, it's okay. Then it's not an external developed, it's internally developed. Okay? And then this 7.1.6 actually talk about the control of external provided process, products or services. Means also have to control your supplier, provided process, your outsource supplier, your outsource manufacturer, if you have outsource some process. Okay, and services. These services actually means maybe your contractor, your lab, your external lab. All of this service means you need to control this external service provider. Okay? Okay, 7.2 talks about competence, training, competency, and your authority. Means your competence, your level actually comes with certain authorities, and of course, management have to support on this. Okay, awareness and communication. Okay, and this part, 7.5, documented information. This part is actually one of the important part in your document control. And do we have a document controller here? Okay, this is normally, if you have a document controller, his or her job will be focused on this part. This was 7.5. How you control your documents, your records, your procedures, and so on here. So let's look at a little detail on this. Okay, these are the resources that company are supposed to provide: people, infrastructure, information, work environment. What? Is it mine? Oh, mine? Okay. Sorry? Okay. Then, just now I mentioned the external developed elements. To control this, it means how do we control? Because we do not develop this standard, right? But we need to know if, when this external standard they update, they review. Then we have to update and review accordingly. This is what we talk about here. And then the control of external provider service here already mentioned. We have to, if we have any service provider, any suppliers, outsourced, OEM, lab services, contractor, all of this we need to control also. Then, someone do competence. Of course, this is, all of this talks about we need a proper training and training plan. Okay? Training plan is not a must in ISO 22000 standard, but it's actually a must under your PRP. So basically means you want it or you like it or you still need to develop a training plan. Okay, but remember, just now we talked about this is about the food safety. So the food safety training plan actually is the responsible of the food safety team leader, not entirely on HR. Because under the ISO requirement, it requires the food safety team leader to at least to be responsible for the training plan on food safety. Of course, he or she have to work with HR to arrange all the necessary training. But you cannot, during the audit, let's say, if you don't have a food safety related training plan, you can't really blame HR not doing that. Because under the ISO requirement, it's the food safety team leader's responsibility. Okay? Understand?
Right.
Okay, so this is just a sample of a simple training plan. Okay? This normally we only focus on food safety related. Okay, so for example, for a normal food manufacturer, they will have an orientation training to all new workers. During the thing, they might talk about the GMP, how they enter, how the personal hygiene, all those things, which we call orientation. So probably it's an internal training, and it happens anytime when we have new workers coming in. So we can just put a planning anytime. Food handlers. Okay, this one, I'm not sure here. Do you require that? I don't think, because we are not doing food. But in any food manufacturing or any food related food handler, any person who handle food, you need, it's compulsory to have this food handler cert from KK. It's compulsory. I myself, I also got. And it's once a lifetime one. You pay 50 ringgit to the training school, attend a 4-hour class, then you get this cert. And Spanjang is a lifetime one. But without that cert, it's illegal to work as a food handler. Even though you want to open a store doing char kway teow, you still need this food handler cert. It's very rare. So I can open a store to sell char kway teow. So this is required by law. So of course, all food handlers is an external training. We plan for a whole year. Anytime we have workers come in. I think it's not necessary for moving up because you are not dealing with food. You're dealing with food packaging, so it's different. Okay. And then we might need GMP, HACCP refresher training to the specific. Some are all workers, some are CCP operators. We can plan out when to do the training. Remember this is planned. Of course, if we could follow the plan, the best. But if somehow after we plan this refresher training on February. If February tak jadi lah, no time to do or whatever, we can actually revise to do it on March. It's okay, you can go a little bit different from the plan because sometimes things change. You can't really plan for the change, sudden change. Okay, but we need some sort of training plan. Okay. Any question about training plan? Or you can actually, if you have a normal HR, normal training plan, you just ask the food safety team leader what kind of training you want, just plug in. As simple as that. He doesn't need to develop his own. We can plug in into your existing HR training plan. No problem. As long as there is a documented plan. Okay, awareness. We have to make sure all the workers all the staff aware of your food safety policy, your food safety objective. These are important. You need to make sure that they know. Some people, what they do is actually, they have a cup like something like this, they print it, make it a small piece of paper, print it, insert that. So they say, I distribute, everyone have a employment pass card. He has it, he got it. Okay, whether that fella read it or not, it's not the management or anyone, at least under this environment. I really do my best to distribute. Of course, reminder now, please have a read. At least when people ask, don't say, there is a food safety policy. I don't even know that. I don't do such thing. At least the worker will ask, food safety policy, ada sini. They can show this to the auditor. The same goes to the objective. Okay? No? Any question about this? No? Alright, good. Then, about communication. This is about just not awareness thing. It's how we actually do this communication. Okay? Under this ISO requirement, we need to do internal and external communication. External, very simple, actually, is to your stakeholder. External, your customer, your regulator. You have to make sure that enough information, the relevant information is passed to them. Okay? And then the internal communication, like about how you communicate all your policy, your objective, all of this FSMS, how you communicate to your staff. So this is always when I do audits, this one comes out a lot, especially for the operators online. Ask them, apa tu food safety policy? Tak tahu, tak ada. But you need to give them a vendors are normally they print it on the notice board, put it on the notice board on your canteen or whatever, or changing room. So day by day, they know something is there. They might not remember it. Mungkin tak hafal, tapi dia tahu there is something there. Oh, can point the monitor. Oh, yeah, itu polisi. Itu objective. So normally what people will do is they now make it big, put it somewhere significant. People can read. So this is how they communicate. Okay. So this 7.5, this one is important. Since we don't have document controller here, do we actually have a document controller? I mean, might not be in the training, but do we have one? Okay. No. Okay, it's okay, it's not a must. As long as your document is controlled according to the standard. It doesn't, in the standard, it doesn't say you need a document controller. Just as normally with one, it's easier to do the changes, update. It's not necessary, it's not mentioned here. You don't need one. Okay? So generally, what kind of documented information is required? You have to control. Okay? And of course, your regulatory authority, stationery, your customer COP, all those things you need to control also. Then what's control like? You might need a food regulation in your office. You read it or not, it doesn't matter, but at least you have a copy. Your ISO standard, probably not everyone read it, but at least you have a copy, it's available. Soft copy, hard copy, doesn't matter. But you need to control this, even your regulation. At least have some sort of book, law book or something is available. And then when they get update or review, make sure you are aware of it. Don't use a conversion. Okay. And this document control also talk about the requirement for creating and updating your documentation. So documentation must have identification, description. Then you have to determine what kind of format you want to store, soft copy, hard copy, video, pictures. It's all okay, as long as it's controlled. Any piece of information from here can become a record, can become a document, can become a procedure. Your SOP doesn't mean it has to be word by word, 10 sentences about it. It could be a pictorial. You take pictures. It's also can be a SOP, can be. But any of this you need to control. They need to be reviewed, approved for suitability and adequacy. Okay? So and then to control the document, you also need to control the distribution, the access. Who do you pass this document to? Who are the user? Where do you keep? How do you keep? How do you change or review or revise the version? And most importantly, how you retain, keep the record. Okay. So here is what? Documents and distribution master list. You need to have a master list of all your documents. Just like your ISO 9000, same thing. Okay? Should be familiar to you. All your documents, be it a record, a procedure, a policy or something, you need to have a title. You need to have a unique document number. A document number must be unique. Means this code, this number, this document number will be this document only. Do not duplicate your document number. It has to be unique. But the pattern or the format for this document number, actually there's no rule. Not specified under the ISO. You can use whatever pattern you like. As long as it's unique and you are able to identify your document with the number. Okay? Then we need to have a version number or revision number. So normally a document is started with revision 0. Then any revised or any update from it, you got revision 1, 2, 3. And this revision number, sometimes there are a few ways people doing that. Some people will do any revise, any update, they will count both, make one number. So it means 1 to 2, revision 1 to revision 2. Then change again, 2 to 3, something like that. But some people might actually do it like a major or minor update. And they will do a big number, revision change. For major update means from 2 to 3, 3 to 4. But for minor, maybe sometimes they just want to fix some spelling error or correct something, or they change some words inside. Just the change a little bit doesn't affect the whole structure, whole framework. They make a small number changes from 2.1 to 2.2, something like that. But it's entirely up to your controller. As long as you are able to ID your revision. Okay? Then effective date. This is another thing. You need an effective date for all your documents. When does this document become effective? You need to have a date. And last is the authorization. Means it has to be authorized. If hard copy, will be signed by the document owner. A policy normally will be signed, authorized and signed by your highest management, your boss, at least the GM, or maybe sometimes the CEO. Okay? But your work instruction for production, probably your production manager can authorize it. You don't need your CEO or GM to do that. But you need some form of authorization. Hard copy, probably just a signature. Soft copy, you might use an e-signature or something. As long as you need an authorization. Okay? So this is how we ID the document. So this is a must. This is something you need to follow. It's in your ISO document. Okay? Then we have a distribution list. We have to distribute all the document to whoever uses it. Okay, the work instruction probably have to send to the operator. Your procedures manual probably have to send to the person in charge, the department head. You might need to send a copy to the production, a copy to your QA, a copy to your maintenance, a copy to warehouse. Some sort of thing, you need a list to specify where does this document distributed to. Okay? Then, within this distribution list, then you have to ID out the most important, your master copy. What is master copy? Literally, tell me what is the master copy? Try it. Literally means by the word master copy. Okay, master copy, is the mother of all your documentation. Any procedures or instruction policy, you need to have a master copy, means the original, one and only copy, the mother of everything. Then think if require a hard copy signature is the actual copy that the person sign off. The only people who just, after that, the document will chop, stamp it, master copy. Means this master copy is the origin of everything. You do any changes to the master copy, you have to update all the rest of the copy. This is what the master copy. And during an audit, any discrepancy or dispute, if the auditor find some of your different departments, they use different version or different words, he will refer to your master copy to see. Everything will follow the master copy. So you make sure the master copy is kept properly. Then, control copy. So what is control copy? You know, what is a control copy? Actually, just now I already mentioned the answer.
Distribution to others.
Yes. Properly distributed copy to the use for the other people. So it means it's actually your working copies. The master copy is actually okay, after you've done everything, keep it there. Don't touch it unless it's necessary. That is the mother. But whoever wants to use those documents, those are the control copy.
Duplicated one.
Duplicated one. And distributed. Normally, a document controller will stamp control copy. And any changes to your master copy, you need to update according to your control copy also. Don't forget. That's why, just now I mentioned, the distribution list is important. You need to refer to the distribution list when you do any update to the master copy. Then you follow the list, you look at, okay, who got this? Then I need to ask them to gather those and revise it accordingly. These are the control copy. Then, how about uncontrolled copy? What is an uncontrolled copy? How in the world we have an uncontrolled copy? At what situation?
Reference for reference.
Yes, sort of. Yeah, sort of. Uncontrolled copy is like this. Sometimes your customer, or maybe during your audit, the auditor will ask for your documents to get. They will take it and use it on their own. But those copies is distributed out already, is beyond your control. So means for example, my customer today asked me for my, let's say, SOP or something. Okay lah, I give to her. But my document controller will say, okay, in this case, I will chop an uncontrolled copy of this. And they say, this document is only valid and good at this point of time when I distribute to you. But after this, when we update our master copy, this update, I cannot do it, I cannot update your uncontrolled copy. Means I already give to you. It's good at the time I pass to you. But after this, any update, sorry, I won't go and update your copy. You can ask me again for a new copy if you know I update. But again, I will send you another, it still is an uncontrolled copy. Because we cannot be responsible for those copies that we already distributed out. It's beyond our control. So we just put an uncontrolled copy. So you don't say after 10 years, you take the old copy and then say, hey, last time you write like this, how come now different? Because we update already, this one is uncontrolled.
So the uncontrolled copy with a job, with date also.
Better than that. But sometimes it doesn't happen.
Otherwise tomorrow they'll say.
But anyway, if it's okay if you just chop the uncontrolled copy without that, but you need to have some sort of reference on when I pass to you.
Yeah.
But sometimes they just don't need to put. I just said it's uncontrolled. You don't care. As long as this is only good at this moment. Tomorrow you don't come and tell me different already. Tomorrow I update anything.
I forgot all these after working in the university.
So this uncontrolled copy, it is actually not specified in the standards, but it's a good way to do. Or else, some people sometimes you distribute your document too many, you forget who you distributed to. And those if not update, you might have some problem. Okay. So, and then we have obsolete document or obsolete copy. Means once you revise or review anything new, the old version, old revision become obsolete. Okay? It's a good practice to keep the obsolete copies for a period of time, for reference, for future reference to see what have changed, what was before. But just to make sure the obsolete copy is properly ID. It's obsolete, so people don't use it as the current version. This is slightly different from the uncontrolled copy. Uncontrolled copy probably become obsolete once we pass the date that we issue. But obsolete is confirmed that obsolete already. Okay, next. When we do document update or modification, two things to remember. First, we need a document change notice. A proper form or record on why, when, how, what change of these documents. This is just a document change notice. And then at the same time, once we have updating or modification of certain documents, it's good that we keep a amendment log. Just put a table, one day, what will you change? So that you do not forget what have been changed. So document change, DCN, what we normally call DCN, document change notice, and amendment log. This is what we will change about document change.
This one is very traditional. 30 years ago already like this.
Yes, yes. Even now we use digital copy, you can do the same thing. Actually, digital copy even easier. You can save histories. Okay? And then, retention period. This is important. The retention period of your documents, especially your production record. Okay? This one is critical if you are food manufacturer.
Medical.
A lot of things. The retention period of that, especially production records, your CCP records, quality reports, you have to keep at least as long as your product shelf life. So let's say, for example, if you are making canned food normally can last, the shelf life normally is at least 18 months, 15, 18 months, or even up to 2 years, 3 years. If you your canned food product shelf life is 3 years, your this critical records, the document, everything has to be kept for at least 3 years. But again, if your product is very short shelf life, like bread, roti, normally about 1 week, 2 weeks, you actually only have to keep those documents for 2 weeks. So this is about your retention period. Just like your finance record, you have to keep for 7 years, right? For the taxing or whatever purpose. This is the same. But it didn't specify how long. It has to say at least as long as your product shelf life. So how about you might ask, what about my product actually doesn't have a shelf life, plus a lifetime one? In this case, how? Okay. Example, car, automobile. Car, all the production records for a car has to be kept a lifetime. Because you can not put a shelf life on the car, right? Under good maintenance condition, a car can be driven as long as 40 years, 50 years, right? So cars, their record has to be maintained for a lifetime. But again, this lifetime doesn't mean 100, 200 years. Actually, there is some definition. I think lifetime normally we say is 30 years. When you say lifetime, it's at least 30 years. So, within this retention period, all this record has to be available and accessible anytime.
Only production record. How about sales record, invoice?
Okay, here we talk about food safety. So it's only related to food safety. So it means if your record is about the other sales and record management doesn't really have anything affecting your food safety, then it's okay.
I think related, right?
Only related to food
Because raw material
Yes.
factor also.
Yes. As long as it's related to your food safety.
Raw material.
Your raw material, if it concerns about your food safety, because traceability.
If raw material is the contributor, then we have to.
Because of, it concerns your traceability, so you have to keep your raw material record also. As long as your product shelf life.
So this one actually we need to link to our supplier, right? I mean ISO 22000.
Yes. Supply control.
We need to audit them, we need to,
It's about your supply control.
they are outgoing, need to matching with our ISO 22000, right? Our supplier,
Yes.
right?
Later when we talk about supplier control, yes.
Oh, okay. So all these documents need to keep for,
Yes.
right?
As long as your product shelf life.
Um,
Hey, your product shelf life is how long? Actually, do you have?
products,
Which,
raw material, resin,
it's raising of water, I don't know, I'm not sure.
1 year.
You really got
Now
to
they declare 1 year.
because this shelf life, this shelf life, of course we are talking about food here. The original thing, this ISO is about this food. So of course every food will have a shelf life. Then it's really after that shelf life, probably this food is not supposed to be used anymore. But your product may be different because it probably is a quality, not a safety.
yeah.
But it's still a shelf life. So you just follow the shelf life. It's okay. Even though it doesn't mean that after that your material suddenly become dangerous. It's okay. I think your shelf life is more to quality side instead of food safety.
The DO actually should also. DO,
Consider if your DO is part of your traceability, then yes.
Sometimes they mention that they link the DO number with the invoice number, all these are, don't really DO no need lah.
This is about how you do your traceability. Later we will talk about traceability system. Okay? Because traceability system actually involve tracing all your documents and records. So all this actually in here we actually refer to food safety related. As long as it's related to your traceability. Okay? So remember, as long as your production life. So, what happens if after the retention period, what do we do with those documents? Anyone can tell me? What can we do to this document? What should we do after the retention period? You say 1 year. After 1 year, what happened?
the product or the document?
The documents. Records. What idea? What idea do you have?
Dispose.
Dispose. Okay. What else? What can you do? Okay. Actually, it's up to you. Yes. Here, the standards only specify you need to retain the document at least as long as your product shelf life. But after that, it's up to you. You happy? Use them. You want to burn it, you want to delete them, you want to keep them. It's okay, up to you.
Confidential.
It's up to you, totally up to you. You can do anything after the retention period. Some people, I think, oh, you want to discard them. I don't want to keep anymore. I don't have the space to keep. Some people will say, hey, I still want to keep them for future reference or something, or maybe for sentimental. Okay? It's okay, it's up to you. Doesn't matter. Just that within the retention period, you need to make sure they are accessible and available.
But actually, we keep the record for 3 years. Because when we sell to our customers, because they make their product, normally they also have a shelf life about 1 to 2 years.
In that sense, it's actually up to you to define. Means your customer might use your product longer than your retention keeping period, right? In that case, for the traceability purpose, you have to keep longer for your customer. Because your customer, their traceability will require you to retain your document.
So maybe we are already keeping 6 months, then they keep another 3 years, it's already more than 3 years.
So means your customer have to advise you. Of course, because your customer, you don't know how their system running, right?
Yeah.
So it's actually up to your customer to inform you. Or you can be proactive and ask your customer, and how do you do your traceability? Do you require us to keep our document longer than what period? If not, if you don't specify, we only keep our document for 1 year, let's say, for 1 year. If you require, because of your traceability purpose, you want us to keep 3 years, please tell us. Then we have to do according to that, because customer requirement, remember from the beginning, customer requirement we need to understand. So this is the customer requirement. But if your customer fail to inform you such information, and when they do their audits, their traceability cannot get information from you, it's actually not your fault. They need to communicate with you. Of course, under ISO, we also say we need to communicate with our customer. So sometimes your sales and marketing might want, or maybe your food safety team might want to ask your customer, hey, do you, we retain our document for 1 year, okay? Do you require us to keep longer?
This one is initiative lah.
Initiative, because of the communication part. So you see, all these things, this requirement, these courses have their own use one. Not just put there for show only. There is a reason they do such thing. So then yes, it's a good scenario. Thank you. Okay, so this is about the document control. Okay, any question about document control? Because it's almost lunch hour.
So since we have a document controller, so what are the systems you come across that able to control the whole system?
Okay, for all the companies that I worked with before, we all have the document controller. But if you really don't have a designated document controller, then your food safety team will be the people responsible for all these things.
Yeah, now actually we have a trade plan or controlled by individual quality department.
Okay, because your food safety team are supposed to coordinate all these things. Because you have different plants, all your plants is certified, right? Then your food safety team, I don't know whether be it an individual plant or you have a centralized plant.
This individual plan,
Have their individual team.
different product.
Oh, that means they are supposed to have their own individual team.
Not a team. Actually, it's only one single person.
Yeah.
Single person.
Oh,
Like,
team.
like that one is a QA engineer, assist the leader.
In that case, probably it's good that you have they do some coordination to understand how each other do. Because your different plant, do they have your product actually interlink with each other, or actually target different customers?
Yeah, different customer.
If different is okay, then
Different customer, but a little bit interlink because we take from our, let's say, plant 2 and then we.
You take from the resin from this plant to make water, maybe something like this.
Partially.
Okay.
Actually, one of the plan is a collection. I mean, the raw material provided, but the two plan is
The manufacturing.
yes.
Then either you have some sort of coordination and you standardize how you do this thing together. Means even though you have individual, but they use the same standards to do things, it will be easier to control. And then you need some sort of coordination. Probably the team leader will be the coordinator. But when you get audit, it's audited individually, right?
No.
The audit will be centralized.
Yes.
In this case, a bit complicated. Means you need to have someone as a coordinator to understand what happened everywhere. Or else, during the audit, you will face the problem that your member from A, plant 1 and plant 2, they say a different thing. Then, the auditor will get confused. Then they will have to refer, of course, remember just now the master copy? Any issue will refer to master copy. So if your two plants are actually giving some conflicting document information, so one of them will definitely be wrong. So you are expecting an answer. Communication. Because this is part of your internal communication.
think for the ISO 9000 mainly is maintained by Pharma. I think maybe 2000 maintained by Plant 3.
But do you treat, let's say, plant 3, plant 2 actually like a supplier to them, or you treat it actually as well? Because if different, you treat it differently, they will have different role, and then your system will be different. But it's actually all registered under same company, right? The company registration is the same, right? It's not two different company with different name, different registration, right? Just that they do different thing. Because
different machine, different process.
because this ISO, remember the scope. The scope actually you have to ID your processing site. So if, let's say, your plant 2 and plant 3, your plant 3 scope doesn't include your plant 2, then plant 2 is out of question, it's okay. But as a supplier, if they supply material, you need to have your supply control on them. Even though it's an internal supplier. This is a bit complicated. So this one really have to actually go into detail to see how you actually work. I need some coaching on this. During such a one-day training, probably cannot resolve this problem. Right? Need to go into detail how to coordinate all this communication and standardize your control.
You need consultant, this is under consultant.
You might need, yes, it's under your order. But normally what I would do, like, if I would actually set up a coordination team, a centralized one, part under your HQ. Just like your ISO 9000, HQ one. When they said HQ is a centralized one, a centralized one, you actually may pick representative from each plant. You sit down maybe every month, every 2 months, or maybe every 6 months, to have like standardized and submitting, to look at the things. It's one way of doing that, but at least you need something standardized across all your sites. Sometimes it's not easy because you are not different manufacturing sites doing the same thing. You are different manufacturing sites doing different thing.
Different market customer.
But then you interlink in between, so the communication and your standardization actually become critical. We need to.
I think the document controller, I think, still a better idea.
Yeah, if you have a good document controller, he or she will become your coordinator. You can park he or her under as a coordinator to coordinate all the things. Of course, in this work will be very big because you have to look after 3 plants. So maybe not one, you might have to set 3, one representative from each plant to make a small group. Something like this. If you want to get one person to do that, probably you might have to get a full-time person. I'm not sure. Might have to get a full-time person. So his job is only doing document control. Or else 3 plants might be too overwhelming for one single person to do part-time.
Here is come 7, 8, 9, 10
No, it's like this because previously my document control also not full-time. My first one, the document control is actually from finance. So beside the accountant though, she will use maybe one day or every month use a few days to do this. Or in my previous company, my document controller actually is my QA exec part-time. Because they say, oh, QA control this document anyway, so down to QA. Okay, I have no objection, I take it. I assign one of my exec to become half of her job, become a document controller. It's up to the company how you distribute the power. But in your case, I really suggest you need at least someone to do all the coordination. At least the communication must be there. Or else you will have problem doing all it. Easy to get an NC. in such an NC, it's actually very difficult to close. Because it's actually a fundamental problem.
This can be minor or major AC.
When you come to the non-conformance, it could start as a minor. And actually, I tell you, if normally an auditor, when they come to audit, they actually not come to failure. Auditor as an auditor, I'm not coming to look for a fault. I'm looking for compliance.
Yeah.
So normally, a good auditor, he or she will try to give you chance one. As long as you doesn't immediately have a critical issue, immediate in front of her, in front of the auditor. What we will do is actually we will try to break down your things. We give you minor thing. As for example, if I find a major problem, for the first time audit, I find a major problem. I will try to break this major into maybe 3 minors. Because I'm coming to look for compliance, I'm not come to penalize you. So I don't know, you don't comply, I immediately give you a major. I can see, I want to look for improvement. So I break the major into 3 minors. So that it's easier for the client, for the auditee. Okay, we improve from there. Once you settle these 3 minors, actually you solve the problem of this major. This is what normally our auditor will do. But next year, second year, when I come again, this problem is still not resolved. I already give you a chance. I give you a chance. You can't do anything. I also have my duty. So I have to give you a major. I upgrade your minor, become a major.
Yeah. Understand?
Yeah, because I have to my duty.
This one is quite a common practice.
And which is why it's actually a rule. Same auditor cannot audit the same place continually 3 times.
Okay.
It's only 2. Every 2 years, the third time they have to change the auditor. But the 4th year, he can come back. But cannot be continuously for 3 years. This is not normal practice.
Not for yearly. Not for yearly.
Same.
But of course, if your CV, your certification body, they have manpower issue, sometimes they have to assign you the same auditor. But they will try to not always give you the same auditor. They also don't want the auditor and the auditee become too friendly.
Our auditor come for the voice one.
Sometimes after a while, at the end it might become conflict of interest, which is they afraid. Because your auditor, your audit firm will also get audit. They will get audit also.
They need to cover the backside.
Yeah. So make sure they are doing the job. So now it's 12 something, I think we go for lunch. Okay?
Okay.
So it's 1 hour. So we return at 1:10.
Hello.
So how do you arrange for lunch? Here.
You can eat here.
Okay.
Ada 3. Itu ialah wong cakapnya. Hello. Yeah.
Okay, good afternoon. Welcome back. Okay, before lunch, today we already talked about the clause 4 until clause 7. We finished clause 4 until clause 7. Now we go into the clause 8. Okay, clause 8, this operation is actually a big part of this ISO 22000. And this is also the part where it goes quite specific. This one, unlike just now the clause 4 to clause 7, and after that the clause 9 and 10, is actually applicable, general, across, standardized across all the ISO 9000, 10000. This clause 8 is actually very specific, especially this part. It's very specific to food safety. Okay, so this part, when I was giving the presentation, the terms and the things might go a little bit specific, maybe not so much on your industry. Okay, because it mostly talk about food manufacturing environment. So if you happen to not understand anything, why I said why the things are, please just ask. Okay, I try to explain, especially this clause 8 is actually very big. The rest of the day we will only talk about probably this 8.2, prerequisite program of PRPs. This one probably will finish today's section after we finish this PRP. Then the rest will be going for tomorrow. That's why this PRP is actually quite a big part. Okay, so we have 8.1, 8.2, the PRP. 8.3, we will talk about tree stability. 8.4, the emergency preparedness and response. Then 8.5 is another big topic, the hazard control. Now this whole 8.5 system, this standards is actually the HACCP, the actual HACCP. So this one is also a big one, a very specific one. A bit technical, so this HACCP, this 8.5 is a bit technical. And then 8.6 about the updating your information. 8.7 is control of monitoring and measuring. 8.8 verification. Actually, still HACCP has some parts of it also. It's part of this. It's HACCP also. And then 8.9 control of non-conformance. This one, what we call corrective action, will fall under this clause 8.9. Okay? Alright, so 8.1, there's not much about this. This is just about your operation. You must have some planning, some control, some process. It's a general requirement for this course. Now, this 8.2 PRPs is one of the main things about when the plant implement, establish a food safety management system. Okay, this, in fact, PRPs is about one thing, which is the GMP. So you know what is a GMP, right? What is a GMP?
Good manufacturing.
Yes, manufacturing practices. So with this, your GMP, your factories, whole factories, whole organization GMP actually all falls under this one specific clause, 8.2, prerequisite programs, PRP. So this is actually a very, very important clauses, one of the important clauses in the system during the audit. Most of the time, the audit actually is doing to audit your assessing your this 8.2, your GMP. So you need to establish a GMP or PRP. They call it a PRP. Okay? So it's actually it specifies what should be in your PRP. So it has to include your construction, your layout. Okay? The supplies of your utilities, your pest control, waste management, your equipment cleaning, maintenance, your supplier approval, means your supplier management, your incoming materials, storage, transportation, distribution, handling of your products, measures for prevention of cross-contamination, cleaning and disinfection, personal hygiene, product information. Your PRP have to include all of this. Of course, since you are not actually doing a food manufacturing here, certain part of it is actually not applicable to you, which later we will talk more when we go into the standards. Okay, so again, the GMP, this is the GMP definition, you can Google about it. Now, when we come to GMP, there's actually 5 important elements in the GMP, which we call 5 P's. Means this element all started with the word, the alphabet P. So 5 of them, who can tell me? The answer is actually on the slide. What P's we have here?
Process.
Process, yes, one of it. People.
Machine. Money.
Procedure. And then tomorrow. Product.
Then
One
bawah.
more. One more.
Packaging.
This one last P, just now we take some time to talk about. It's about the document control. So is
Control. Management.
P start with P?
People.
Process,
No.
Production.
people, products.
Just like that. P?
Premise.
Previous.
Apa
dia? Is. Yes, correct. So we got people, premises, products, procedures, and your paperwork. Paperwork is document now. Okay? So people is the foundation of any program. Without people, you don't have anything, right? People is the fundamental of anything. And people must be properly trained for GMP. Okay, and the training cannot be once and done. Means, oh, today we do a training. Then after 10 years, we don't need to do any refresher or anything. Because the information, the technology, the environment is ever changing. We might have new things coming in, new technologies come out, new trades coming in. So, training is actually important for people. Premises is the place. Okay, premises normally we talk about the food premises. But here it's actually your factory or your manufacturing, your shop houses, your whatever. It's called a premises. Have a clean, safe environment is essential. It has to be clean, it has to be safe. Okay? We have to design that it's easy to clean, easy to maintain, and prevent all the cross-contamination. And these premises also refer to the equipment. So not only about the building, your equipment, your machineries, your facilities, it's all put under these premises. Okay, next, products. Of course, you're running a business, products is important. Or maybe in some organizations, service. Okay, you must have something to present to your customer. This is to talk about your product. So including your raw packaging material, those things, all your materials. Procedures. This is about your process. How you do things. What to do, when to do, who is doing that. It's about your process. And need to be traceable in the GMP. And lastly, but not the least, paperwork, your record, your documentation, your procedures, everything is here. And then all of the paperwork has to be signed off and verified. Okay, sign off means the one who do it have to sign. Verified means someone have to come and verify the work. Okay, this is how paperwork works. So the 5 P's, remember? Okay, now this 10 principle of GMP, this is the principle. This one, only this one, no points. And just tell one by one. Okay, first one. We need a step-by-step written procedures. Written procedures. It's important to have a procedure so people can follow your GMP. Yeah, which is the next one. People have to follow your procedures. There's no point like you write a procedure but no one follow it. Then all the works you have to document it to have objective evidence. The only way to show you have done your work correctly and properly. Especially later we come up with a concept, due diligence. Okay, but no so far tomorrow we'll talk about due diligence. then all the work will have to be validated or verified or proved or signed off or whatever. You record it, then it need to be validated. Means the work, even you follow it, someone have to make sure you do it correctly and properly. Then all the equipment and facilities we have to integrate the safety procedures, the quality procedures into this. Now the safety here is about the product safety, food safety, not the people safety. Everyone is under OSHA or whatever. It's different concept already. And number 6, okay, equipment and facilities has to be maintained properly, maintained in a good working condition, in a clean, hygiene condition. 7, okay, then we talk about job competencies, training. To make sure people who do all the work has been trained properly. Okay? Orientation training, on-job training, refresher training. Okay? Okay? Of course, cleanliness, hygiene, everything has to be maintained. Environment, equipment, people, personal cleanliness and hygiene, everything has to be ensured. They have to make sure everything is clean. And then this one, we have to build quality into the product. Okay? Why? Because normally people will say, a food product with quality, okay, is supposed to be safe. Of course, we understand that. Quality product doesn't mean safe product in the food manufacturing. And at the same time, safe product doesn't mean it's a quality product. But what we, in the manufacturing environment, of course, we want both to be present in our product. We want a safe and quality products. But somehow, normally people will assume when the product we talk about is having quality, it's supposed to be safe for food. It's supposed to, but not necessarily. It could be, it could happen. And the last one, okay, we do all the things, then we need to conduct an audit or we have to do an inspection, we have to check, we have to verify, we have to evaluate whether all of this has been doing properly. Do we need correction? Do we need to review and change? So this is the principle of GMP. Okay, no need to remember other ujian. But in those days, a series of principles for GMP has to be followed properly. Now, within ISO standard, actually, for PRP, there are standards, a technical standard. Okay, ISO TS, ISO/TS, the TS actually means technical specification. So, in ISO 22000 standards, it doesn't specify what reference guidelines you have to use for your PRP. It's not stated. You can use any PRP, valid as long as it's valid. Here, so just for reference to explain what is a PRP, so I use this ISO TS 22002 X series. Why X series? Because it actually has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 sub-standards under it. Okay? The first one, the dash 1, is about food manufacturing. This is the biggest one. So it means this is the mother of everything. Because the rest are number 2 for catering, 3 for farming, 4 for food packaging or manufacturing, food packaging manufacturing, okay? 5 is transport and storage, 6 is feed and animal food product. These are 2, 3, 4, 5. 6 is actually refined from this, extract from this. This is the biggest of all. You can find all the requirement in this. Then these 5 actually have a more specific for this particular industry.
So you mean we can go to the specific?
Yes. So for you, actually, I will suggest, and the example here I use here is actually I use this part for food packaging manufacturing, because this is the closest to your industry. Because you see the rest actually doesn't have anything to do with catering, farming, animal feed, right? So the closest to you is actually food packaging manufacturing. And actually, remember just now we talked about this FSSC 22000. Remember that? Actually, now you are certified with ISO. Now, if you convert your PRP, you use this standard, you use this standard as your reference guide for your PRP, with some further additional requirement, you can actually upgrade your cert to FSSC 22000. Because FSSC 22000 means it's actually based on the ISO 22000 plus any of this PRP, then there are a few more additional requirements. You combine all this, you got FSSC 22000 cert. So actually, if your company now, if you really want to do that, you just apply this PRP, and then you fulfill the additional requirement, just I think about 14 of them. You actually can upgrade your ISO 20000 to FSSC 20000. You already done 70% of the work already, which is your ISO 20000. This is the thing. Okay? Any question? No? Alright. So, under this ISO TS 22002 -4 2013, means the revision is 2013 one. Okay? It specified what should be in your PRP. What are the requirements? Okay? Establishment, layout and workspace, utilities, waste disposal, equipment suitability, cleaning and maintenance, management of purchased material and services, measuring for prevention of contamination, cleaning, pest control, personal hygiene facilities, rework, withdrawal procedures, storage and transport, food packaging information and customer communication, food defense and bioterrorism. Okay, again, depends on the nature of your operation, your company. Some of these, some of it might be not applicable to the industry. So if it's not applicable to you, you can further remove it. So you can further refine this standard to suit your operation. So not necessarily, even though, okay, let's say we are doing the food manufacturing, food packaging manufacturing. I have to follow everything. Let's say if you do not do any rework, let's say for example, then this rework part actually is not applicable to you. So you don't have to set up, establish a procedure or manual for your rework. This here is just, if it's relevant to you, then you set up. If it's not, okay, then by all means, take it out, no problem.
Yes. Two questions. First one, 2013, normally 8 to 10 years they will renew, right? So it will be close to the next.
Okay. Because let's see, we go back to previous one. Because the whole thing actually is from this 2009, and then actually you see this 2009 until now, no revision, no new revision. All of this is actually developed after this. And you see the latest one is this transfer is 2019. So it means almost a few years they will come up with something new. And look at this trend. I suppose the next thing to get revised is this. It's due already, it's due. It's 2009.
Okay.
So, remember, imagine you become actually a cycle. So let's say they probably revise this 2022, this year, let's say. Then after maybe 2023 start, they will look at this cycle again to see which one they will have to revise. So a new version will probably come out. Because this is the mother of everything. All of this is developed from here.
Sorry, here mentioned 2018.
Hmm? No, this is the ISO 20000 standard.
Oh, okay.
It's different. Every ISO standard you can see there is a number, is a year. The 2018 is the latest ISO 22000 standards. The previous revision of it is 2005. So normally, 3 to 5 years people will say when they revise the standard, but sometimes it takes a lot longer. For example, the BRC, okay, just this month, 1st of August, they start issue 9. Before that is issue 8. I think they will do some revision, but it depends on a lot of things. It's not necessarily means that every 5 years or every 3 years they must come out with something. Sometimes it just takes a long time for them to revise. But still, probably the organization, ISO, they will do the internal review to see if a major revision change is necessary or not. Because all these things maybe is for the past 12, 13 years, they thought there's not much new development for this standard. So they just continue this standard.
Okay, second question is that means we need to go for this TS number 4, right? 202.
Mhm.
Yeah, number 4. And after that, we need to, how do we upgrade to FSSC?
Okay. First of all, you do not need to go for certification of this standard alone. No, this is just a technical standard. Means you use it as your PRP reference guideline. Okay? So now let's say if the company wants to upgrade your ISO to FSC, right? You go to your certification body who is able to conduct an audit or certification audit for FSC 22000. You just tell them, okay, now I already certified with ISO 22000. For the next, I would like to upgrade to FSC. Then the next audit, your audit will become the certification audit. They will see whether you include this requirement into your PRP or not. And then the additional FSC requirements. You just need to do those. You fulfill those, you comply with those, you can go for the audit. You don't need to do any special thing. One good thing is maybe you do a training on FSSC 22000. Because there's the additional requirements actually. The FSC 22000 additional requirement, it includes another 2 big parts. This early morning we talk about, remember what part? The 3 things under the big umbrella of FSMS, the other 2. Now we're talking HACCP, the other 2. Forgot again. TACCP and BACCP. These 2 actually is part of the additional requirement under FSC 22000. Out of the 14 extra additional requirement are contained. So this thing, you don't have to get a certification to know this. You just use this as your guidelines to your PRP. Then you fulfill this part. Okay? Right. Okay, so let's look into this. Okay? I'm not going to go into detail of all this. You will get actually a copy of this, a soft copy. I already give to the HR rep. You already have right? Okay. So if you need any reference, you can just look at here. Let's go through this quickly. Okay. First, establishment is actually about general how to select the location of the plant. Okay. It talks about your environment. You have to consider your neighboring area, whether it's a source of contamination or not. Okay? And then you have to set up your boundaries, which is normally if you are set up factories in this such an industrial park, normally the boundaries already been set up. There's some factory actually they buy a lot empty land, they develop themselves. maybe there are buildings or anything. So your boundaries has to be clearly identified. You are doing pagar, fences, the walls, whatever, as long as it can be justified and do not bring contamination. Okay? Even though you say you want to do those bamboo as your fence, as long as it doesn't give you contamination, actually, you can justify it, it's also okay. And you mentioned in the boundaries you have to maintain means everything within the boundary, you have to make sure it's clean. Out of the boundary, probably you say beyond my control. Maybe it's a problem of MBJB. For example, if on the roadside you have the grass, trees, overgrown or something, but it's under the MBJB, so it's not our control. But within our fence, our pagar, is our responsibility to make sure everything inside is taken care of. Okay, so again, when you choose your factories area, you try to avoid places with these air pollution, garbage downside, flood areas, a lot of pests. But there's one thing to consider. Actually, sometimes, especially things like the industrial park like this, sometimes we cannot pick our neighbor. Like sometimes we come here first as a food manufacturer, but maybe after 2-3 years, some factories move to our next door, and they are doing some polluting thing. They're maybe doing some recycling, scrap metal, which is very dirty. But I can't do anything, right? Sometimes we cannot pick our neighbor, so we do our best. Actually, normally the town council or city council, they have some sort of control. If this area is designed, it means it's suitable for food manufacture. Normally those heavily pollution one, they wouldn't allow them to set up. But if somehow there really someone like this move to your next door, they actually give you a problem, polluting, contaminating your product already. Actually, you can make a complaint to either the authorities, MBJB or Alan. Of course, then sometimes people will think not so good, you complain to neighbor. But if we are doing the food, it is our responsibility to protect our product. And they are polluting our product, contaminating our product. What can I do? And since I cannot stop them from coming in, I have to complain, this neighbor really gives us a problem. So to look at what authority can do. If at the end the authority says, there's nothing they can do, and it's also already too serious for us to stay here, maybe we have to consider relocate as a last resort. Okay? But again, this is the principle of the general requirement. At our best, we try to pick the area to set up a plant which is free from all such contamination. This is the general idea of it. Okay? Now, this 1.2 is about internal your layout, how you set up your plant, how you set up the processing line, how you set up your buildings. It's about the layout. Okay, the layout must be designed that your flow of people, flow of material, flow of waste, even maybe your drains, everything is logically and makes sense. Means if it's a drain, it should flow from the clean area. You cannot let the contaminated area water flow to your clean area. From clean area to contaminated area is okay, but not the other way around. About A, sometimes also. That's why some people do positive pressure for certain processing room, especially for food. The cooking area. If you're doing cooking, you're cooking the room, normally they will do positive pressure. So that the contaminated air, the dirty air doesn't go into the room. This is Means you have to design your flow. Okay. The building up here, again, you say it has to be a logical flow. Everything has to be logical. You don't go, let's say, your incoming material. Okay. Normally, a good logical flow is after you're receiving it, can immediately move to your warehouse, right? But somehow, if you design your factory after the incoming, it has to go to your production first, then go to your QA room, and then you move into a warehouse. Then it doesn't make sense like that, lah. So everything has to be logic. We try not to have a crossing of raw and processed cooked material. Probably not so applicable to you because you don't have cooked and raw. But if you are designing a food factory like this, raw and cooked doesn't cross, doesn't go backwards. Means after the raw material becomes cooked material, it doesn't go back again or something like this. But again, the concept is actually applicable to you. Like you can differentiate your material. For example, unprocessed and processed. You can implement separation, segregation of it. About the material flow to make it logical and easier to control. Okay, this one also talk about how you should make your wall, your drains, your ceiling, your floors, what material. Actually, it doesn't specify the material, but what they emphasize is the surface should be easy to clean. Normally smooth, waterproof, means non-absorbent, non-toxic, non-smelling, and durable. So normally it's concrete, PU, all these things, wood, paper. The ceiling, they use the gypsum board, those things is not recommended. For food manufacturing environment. Here is actually specific not the ceilings and overhead. You have any pipings or whatever, your lights, your fan or whatever, you should avoid dirt build up on them. And then directly under them is not your direct processing, we call it food contact surface or food packaging contact surface. Means let's say like your line, this major, this table, this bench, you are working on some material, which at the end will become a food packaging, a bottle, your material racing or whatever. So on top of that, you should avoid any overhead beams or whatever structure that can accumulate dirt or condensation that will drip onto this surface. This is what this talk about. So normally such structure, if possible, we try to avoid having some equipment directly under it. Maybe we move it aside or something. So if even in the case it drips something down or something drops down, it doesn't drop onto your working bench. This is how we say that. Okay? So, and if you have in your factories, if you have any openings that directly goes out of your processing area, those openings has to be properly screened. For example, your exhaust fan, your window. Okay, if your windows can be open one and you do open it, use it for ventilation purpose only, that window, those fans, you need to be screened with maybe normally people use the mesh, small size mesh. This is to avoid pests. No, the mesh screen. No, you don't need a filter or something, just a mesh to prevent like pests from coming in. It's not about the air filtering. Air filter is another when we talk about utilities. There's another thing. But this one is just talk about the general. If you have a door, of course door, you have to open the outside up. Then maybe you have to consider put a air curtain, or put plastic curtain, or maybe double door system. This is what it talks about. Anything that directly open to outside. Because under the Bomba requirement, we do need emergency exit, fire exit. You cannot say, oh, my factory so high risk, I have to seal off all the exit. Cannot. Under the Bomba requirement, you still need emergency exit. So, in such thing, or maybe some window. So you have to screen it. But if, let's say that window, actually it's not used at all. We don't use the window for ventilation purpose. It's just for the lighting. Probably you can consider you use silicone gel to seal the windows.
Sorry, this is impossible.
Mm.
We have monkey, you know?
Hmm?
Monkey coming in.
You got monkey here?
No, technique.
Okay.
So to seal all the incoming, outgoing walkway, not possible.
No, wait. The opening.
Opening,
Means-
Sure, we have opening. Like
Means your window.
window.
If your factory, let's say it's a manufacturing factory, you got a window here. You use it mainly for ventilation.
Mm.
So you open right. Then you have to screen this window. Put a screen on it. Let's say you have an exhaust fan.
Yeah,
Exhaust fan.
yeah.
Then the exhaust fan, you have to put a screen on it. This is the requirement. So to avoid pests. I not say you have a work door, you have to fully enclose it. No. Not like that. It's about your factories on it. Food processing area.
3 room, yes, this one.
That's what I say.
It's very difficult.
This is all about justification. But it's actually a must.
Very difficult.
And actually, this one, since this is the ISO TS standard, if you go to use the Malaysian standard, the MS 1514, that one actually is a law, a regulation. All your windows, anything need to be screened. It's under the food regulation, food hygiene regulation. But this is food factory lah.
A wire mesh lah. something like that.
Yeah, a mesh screen.
To prevent rats or insect or whatever thing going.
Yes, it's not for the purpose of filtering air or anything,
Yeah.
just to prevent pests.
Birds or whatever thing lah.
Like birds, you can do birds net. Something like that is a net or something. This is the requirement. Then the equipment, the same lah. You have to design it and locate it for easier to clean. Okay, normally what they say is the equipment you should at least have some people say 2 feet away from the wall. Or you have to need to leave some spaces, reasonable spaces. What they call reasonable spaces is that space should be allowed someone to clean behind the thing. This is why they say you need to have some distance from the wall or whatever between your machine. You need to at least have some spaces that people can go in to do cleaning and maybe maintenance. This is the requirement. You need to design to make sure everything can be clean properly. This is the idea. You have to remember this concept throughout all Puyaki is you have to make sure all the things is easily clean and maintained. Now, if you have some temporary structure or mobile structure that can be moved, again, you have to make sure the design and construction can prevent pests, can be clean, can prevent contamination. Your storage, warehouse, same thing. Your warehouse, you have to make sure prevent contamination. They have to be, if possible, or if necessary, dry and ventilated. Even some storage might require humidity control or temperature control, depends on your products. Of course, like you're doing chill product, like the chill meat, chill fish, of course you need chill, right? If you do ice cream, of course you need frozen, a freezer. If your product is ambient, then so be ambient. And some product might need to control the humidity. And then you have to design your equipment or the warehouse to be able to control this. This is all talk about how you design things. Okay? And then it actually say sometimes if you do not have a warehouse of your material, it's not necessary to keep under an enclosed warehouse. Maybe you have a booth or something. It's enough. This material doesn't really need that sophisticated or delicate care. It's actually allowed to put. But you just need to make sure the way you stack is easy to clean and there's no pest coverage. So, in contrast to the food warehouse has to be enclosed. You cannot have it open up. But this one for food packaging, actually they allow your certain warehouse, if you can justify it, you can actually put just under a roof. You don't need walls. But you have to make sure the hygiene, the cleanliness, and no pests. Okay? And then, of course, here also mentioned the segregation between food or non-food material. Or maybe for your case is, if you are doing material product, which this is suitable for food packaging, this is not. And then these two material you have to keep separated. You cannot mix them together. Separated doesn't mean you have to have individual storage for them. No. Just that if it can be stored in the same room, same warehouse, but you just need a proper identification. You make a proper label. This is what the segregation here means. So don't worry, say, each and every type of material I need an individual or dedicated warehouse. Crazy, man. Right? No. So don't worry, it's not like that. The segregation here only means you need to properly, do not mix them and ID them properly. But if, just another thing, if you're doing the food material, it's a different story. Especially dealing with food allergen. Food allergen, you really need an individual one. So, if you're not dealing with food allergen, lucky you. Imagine my last company I need to deal with. Remember the 8 allergens? Out of those 8 allergens, we handle 6 of them in my factory. And then because of allergen, you cannot mix up, right? Even between allergen. So you know, my scope to scope the material, I have 11 of them. Because of our individual material, each 11 of them with different color. So my warehouse, one row on the floor, on the wall, one row with all the scope, different color for different material. But here, okay, it's okay. Food packaging material, not so strict. Okay? Again, it's the same thing. You have to make proper distance from the wall to allow maintenance and cleaning. Actually, for warehouse, there's a rule for food storage. You need to be 15 cm away from the wall and 20 cm from the floor. If you're doing a rack to store food, it's actually a requirement. You should be at least 15 cm away from the wall, 20 cm from the floor. But if you are not using the rack, you use a pallet, then your thing, you don't need the 20 cm on the floor. You just need to make sure it's put on the pallet. But the 15 cm from the wall are still applicable. That is for food. And chemical need to be considered. Chemical should be stored separately. This one you need a separate storage. And better if it can be locked by itself. The chemical here normally means the cleaning chemicals, your I don't know, maybe your boiler chemicals, or any lubricants, your maintenance use, lubricant grease, all those things. because your material is actually a chemical anyway, right? So if you talk about chemical, you store separately, and then how all my material have to be kept separate. No, this is normally about cleaning. Means those unintended chemicals. If it's your material, your ingredient, then it's okay. That's your raw material. So this is what? This is to prevent what? Contamination. What is it? To control the chemical hazard. They don't want cross-contamination from your chemical. So this is just a design review. So this thing is what we actually do for your ISO. This is the ISO requirement. Okay? Just now it's actually specific, I take out the requirement from the ISO TS. So this is what ISO, if you just do ISO, what you should do. Okay? You need to make some layout plan, of course. You need a layout plan. Okay? Your layout plan, you need to have this. Your premise zoning include food and non-food handling, your flow of materials, flow of workers, flow of waste materials, drains and drainage, and your location of pest control parameter. But again, this is for food manufacturing. They need to have all. For you guys, you just pick whichever is applicable to you. Means if you do not have pest control, let's say you don't have pest control, you don't need it. Or if you do not have waste material, let's say then you don't need to do this. You don't have drains, you don't need. So only pick which is applicable to you. Okay? Any question? On this layout plan? Okay, no. And this layout plan, it doesn't necessarily mean so many you have to do each individually. You can actually put all the information in one. One plan to show all. It's okay. Okay. 4.3, utilities. Okay, utilities here is actually just talk about your water, your lighting, if you use air, compressed air, gas, all these things. So first, the important thing is water supply. Because a lot of home manufacturers actually use a lot of water. I'm not sure, actually, do you production use water? It's for, not as an ingredient, but it's for cooling purpose, right? Process purpose, right? It actually doesn't contact to your product at all, right? Contact also?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
We use the water to cool.
To cool the material. So it's actually touching
Yes.
your product. Okay, then in that case, you need to make sure the water you use is a potable water. You know what is a potable water? Potable water. Potable water. Okay. Potable water, by layman's term, is a tap water. If you use water like rainwater, you pump underground water, you use seawater, well, river water, those are non-potable water. Potable water normally means the tap water or city water. Okay? So since your water actually touch your products, then you need to have some sort of water control. If not, if you just use for cooling your machine or whatever, then it's okay. But if it really touch your product, contact with your product, you need to have some sort of water control or water quality monitoring things. Okay, we'll talk later about this. Okay? Or you have ice. I don't assume you use ice, right? I'm not supposed to use ice. Steam? No steam. You don't use steam. No steam? Okay, only water. Okay? Oh, because you are not doing blowing. If you are doing the water flow, you blow the HDPE water, they use hot steam to heat up the air. Oh, yeah, could be lah. So depends on your operation also, not necessarily. If you have it, you need to have a control. If you don't, just make it not applicable. But the steam or ice control actually basically you also control the water. So there's no specific control for steam and ice. Actually you control just the same as you control the water.
What's the impact? What's the
Okay, now let's say if you have non-potable water, you use non-potable water for anything in your plant, you have to make sure the water system, the piping, everything does not mix with your potable water, and they do not campur, don't mix them. Non-potable, then leave it non-potable. Because yes, there are some places that they actually collect rainwater to do the floor cleaning or toilet cleaning, right? Instead of using the water, or maybe the bomba, the fire for the fire purpose, the bomba purpose. That water you can use non-potable if you have the system.
Rainwater we also use. Rainwater we use as a process.
Rainwater, you collect rainwater and then use it for process.
Yeah.
But you do treatment, right?
No,
Directly use. For what purpose?
process to cool down the material product.
Also means you do not do any treatment, you just collect the rainwater and use directly to cool your plant.
That's a filtering.
Okay. But that material is not for food packaging. Or is it for food packaging?
This, yes, and now.
Okay.
Raw material for this.
In this case,
You pretend
you might have to do something, some checking on your rainwater.
acid,
You need to make sure this thing is safe.
toxic.
One thing is actually you check it, the microbe, the bacteria count,
Yeah.
you check the pH for this thing.
No, but
But normally you should do some treatment, right? I don't think you just use a bounty and then collect the rainwater and bring it to a factory to use like that, right? Yes.
no, but this at 85 degree or 85 degree, and our material come out is 200 over degree. So I think bacteria there also.
No,
Cannot
sometimes.
survive, bacteria.
Sometimes you consider that some bacteria that actually produce toxin. Means even though you kill the bacteria, but you cannot kill the toxin if they already produce. This is some of the concern. And then the pH, or whether this have any chemicals, something like that. But normally pH will indicate because water, what is the typical pH? Typical pH for water.
5 to 7.
7. So if your water pH goes beyond 9, something is wrong. No?
Later we will heat up again to 200 degree.
And then, but actually if you collect rainwater, the pH it won't be 7. Normally it will be lower, much lower because of the acidity. At the least, we don't talk about the acid rain, that pollution one. Even the normal rainwater, it will contain carbonic acid because of the carbon dioxide in the air. So normally the water that we collect like this, the pH will be around 5 to 7 now. Very difficult to get 7 now.
Actually, we have a decontamination process to remove the chemical.
You have some sort of treatment, right?
No. I mean, it's not the water, but the product. After that, I mean.
That means you have some prevention or some measures to control this, right?